Hey Joe, how about a little story?
Okay, I could go for a good story.
This is a story that is somewhat strange and yet nostalgic. It's a very nasty story, but it's also an important story. Listen. Once upon a time, there was this company called Konami who made video games way long ago. And they made a conference that, let's just say, it was quite nasty. However, I think you're old enough now to hear about it.
I guess so.
So everybody, please make sure you stay ready because this conference is not for the faint of heart. Please enjoy.
Oh boy.
Good afternoon,
Here we
everyone.
go.
Jesus Christ, that was
My name
loud.
is David Daniels. I'm the head
Also,
of
this is
Konami US
basically,
Marketing.
my god, we're
Thank
actually
you so much for
commentating the
joining
10th
2010
anniversary of this. I
Konami
didn't
press
even know
conference.
that.
Seriously, all of these tiny ass rooms. You're Konami. You make billions of yen.
Okay, knowing what's gonna happen later, I'm actually curious on how we're gonna do it.
Not many. So that's good because
So,
this is gonna be a really good
what
show.
This is fairly
exactly-
big in a university lecture room.
At Gamers Night.
You know, I've heard insane things about these, yet the theater looks awfully small for those stories to be true.
It looks more like a cinema room or a proper
Most
theater
importantly,
one.
the media's here, and we're really excited. We know you have so much
A
news to
bit
report
smaller
on
than
at
some
this event,
cinemas,
so we're
but
really
yeah, I
excited
see what
that
you
took
mean.
time out of your day to attend our press conference.
Like, you think the one that Microsoft or Sony use, you know, you rubber... Sorry, go on.
I have a question for you all.
Oh, God.
Why would an E3 press conference be if most of its presenters were Japanese people who can't pronounce English for shit?
You need a
Oh,
translator,
boy.
like Miyamoto did with Bill in the Nintendo 2008 one.
Maybe an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway, except technically the voices are in sync, just you can't understand everything.
Which version are you referring to, Jova?
The big difference here, Taylor, is that these presenters go on for quite a long time. talking.
Oh, boy.
Which different versions are there, dudes?
Britain and America.
Either.
Any noise that you make in the room will be broadcast on the internet.
I mean, the guy
Wow,
seems professional
wow, that's
enough.
passive-aggressive.
True,
I know,
yeah.
I know, right?
Please, please, feel free to do any noise, but we will record them. You will be broadcasted, dipshits.
Thank you.
Jesus, Konami.
And don't think you know.
Also, what do you mean this is being broadcast over the internet? We know it's free.
Alright, let's see what we start with.
Oh, but you pure simpletons,
This was
you couldn't
2010,
possibly
so...
comprehend that.
Oh, the Konami code.
OMG Act Zero sequel confirmed.
Oh, right. When
Okay,
Konami...
that's a nice way to introduce things out.
It's when Konami still knew how to have fun.
Pez.
PES 2011.
Oh, that's the wrestling game.
Lucha
Libre.
Home
Oh.
Run. The Cajuns.
Deca
Sports free.
I actually don't remember that.
Adrenaline Misfits. Entertainment.
SingStar?
Def
Oh,
Jam.
Rapstar.
Okay.
What
Dance
is it?
Masters.
Yes, that's a classic. Go Gourmet? Seriously, Gourmet?
Oops.
Ooh, prank party.
Beyblade.
Fusion.
Beyblade, let it rip!
Oh, Lost in Shadow.
Lost in Shadow. I actually really like this game. Action.
Hang on, if this is Konami,
So
where's
it's
you?
Till Downpour, I think.
Silent
Where's Yu-Gi-Oh?
1999 Nights. Metal Gear, Peace Walker,
How nice.
Ah.
Saw 2,
All two. Pedro.
Hardcore Uprising, which is a Contra game.
Metal Gear Solid Rising.
And Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
This is Konami. Where's Yu-Gi-Oh?
For reference sake, Yu-Gi-Oh was more a card game and anime series rather than focus on video
it
games.
had a lot of video games, I would admit.
Hold on. Tio. I said rather than a focus on video games, so
Sure.
Yeah,
not really
right,
as much
He's
guarantee.
right there. The video games are made and they sell well. The problem, but Konami doesn't really market them all that much in terms of mainstream audiences.
Nowadays, also there's the president Shinji Rano. So he's still the president right now? Let me check.
Probably not.
Well, I mean, his English isn't too bad.
Don't worry, Dwebs, it gets worse.
By connecting our passionate players with the content they want.
Connecting our passionate players.
Also, Konami had Konami had two dancing series of sorts. One called Dance Masters and of course, the famous Dance Dance Revolution. Huh.
Oh, get this, Pedro. I think he migrated with Kojima because now he is the new president of the Kojima Productions.
Oh, there you go then. So basically...
I guess now, who is the CEO now?
So the Konami president actually left with Kojima.
Well, my guess is, Joe, he was probably ousted. You know how in the first Spider-Man movie, Norman was fired by the board of directors? That's probably something like that happened.
All right.
Konami owned Frogger.
Yeah,
They actually were the creators of it.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that.
It was actually quite known, but it caused quite a scene back in the day because Sega actually butted with Konami over the ownership of the Frogger franchise because I think it was one of the last games made for the Sega Genesis. So the natural
I love the way he says triple. I love the way he says triple A. Triple A.
The last Frogger game was in 2011 on the 3DS.
Yeah, let's just
Despite
say
Frogger being basically Konami's Mega Man or Pac-Man, they don't do anything with it these days.
Yeah, that's right.
Hudson, let me see.
Oh, Hudson.
Well, I'm kind of mixed on Hudson. Yes, they did do a lot of good stuff, but they also made a lot of really stupid decisions.
Keep in mind, keep in mind they were also responsible for doing the Mario Party games, and they rarely actually fucked up on those. But magically, as soon as they left, because they were purchased by Konami, the Mario Party games started becoming worse.
Thankfully, the Mario Party games are back on an upswing, but yeah, when we got to the whole...
It took a while to get here.
And then there was the car gameplay, which nobody liked.
Karaoke game.
Oh, right. Okay, probably should mention, this is around the time where Konami was starting to oversaturate their dance and singing genre sorts of games.
Yes.
Considering they already had a sort of a monopoly on a lot of those, I'm surprised. At least for Japan.
That's just the thing to you. A lot of times when it's...
hold on.
Awkward silence.
Apparently this guy, even though he's part of the conference, he was somewhere in the audience and he got up to come to the... What?
Was that in the script? Or did something go wrong?
I don't know.
Did Konami plan this conference out?
I don't know.
That seems to be a lot of things
Hello?
I hear regarding
Ladies
this
and gentlemen,
show.
we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stay tuned for...
And... Wait, what? Wait,
Are they
what?
having issues or
The conference has stopped responding. Please abort
Oh,
retry.
what
They literally had an issue with the player actually showcasing the trailers, I think.
Oh my god, this is going to be the whole show, isn't it?
Did they rehearse this, like, at all?
Like,
Yes.
No,
supposed
it's not that.
to.
It's not that waves. They didn't probably check the equipment.
Because what you said...
The conference is on break.
Okay,
The conference is on break, so...
you know,
I go on break too.
co-commentator Pedro, I gotta say, they had us in the first half there thinking that we were in for a normal show. But apparently we are not in for that. No, we're apparently in for something bizarre, something monstrous, something scary.
Well, I don't know,
this
like...
is still going on, by the way.
Oh, they're saying something.
Oh, words are happening.
Oh,
Hello.
Okay.
We've
Hello.
had quite a ride, not just
That
getting on
shirt
the
is shiny.
this morning.
I'll
So how many
say.
companies do you guys know that get to work on something this?
Also,
I'm
I'm British.
British.
So let me get this straight. A guy that comes from the audience toward the stage and gets on stage, and then the moment that happens, suddenly everything goes to shit.
Oh my god, oh my god. I think that's the same guy because the shirt was glowing so brightly I could make it out even when it was dark.
It's the same guy. It's the same guy. The problem is that again, the computer went ape shit. So
Why did they turn out the lights for him?
for me, it's more bad than the fact that this guy, instead of waiting on backstage, like it's usually with these companies, instead no, he was waiting right there with the rest of the audience.
It's kind of like how you would do it at my school, well, in my old elementary school's auditorium.
There you go, Dwibs. A neat free press conference with the same production and stage methods as an elementary school play. Enjoy.
Oh, how wonderful. I love how throughout each of these conferences, each one has its own major problem. Nintendo had lack of announcements, Activision had most incompetent presenter, and this one seems to have lack of competence in general.
You know, not gonna lie, if we actually had an E3 with the output that we've gotten from this history of E3's marathon that we've been having, that would be rather exciting, because if there's one thing I can say, the set of E3s we looked at have not left me bored, well, counting their variety. Yes, they're each dumb and stupid, but they're dumb and stupid in their own special ways. It's like a boss rush.
Anyway, checked. It seems that the current chairman of the board is the founder itself of Konami, Kagemasa Kozuki.
Damn, he must have been in the game for a long time.
Age 79 currently.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if there's a proper sub-president that answers to him.
There was some president who was the reason that Konami started focusing more on mobile tie-ins games as opposed to actual games.
You can check. The Stop Skeletons from Fighting did actually make a commentary about a documentary about that. So you can check that out for information about that.
The only regular games Konami make now is PES.
And Yu-Gi-Oh!
Anyway, basically, folks, for a bit of backstory, Konami are pretty much Japan's answer to EA. They are an incredibly antagonistic, villainistic company that will drive people to the grave so much as they want. Hell, if you so much as work at Konami and decide, oh, I want to leave, they will do everything in their power to blacklist you to any other potential employers. They are that evil.
They're a company. If I can have you, no one will.
Although unlike EA, Konami barely release anything.
Well, okay. More recently, they actually managed to do some decent collection. As far as the new games are concerned, it's more mixed. You know, Super Bomberman R was what the franchise needed, but it wasn't like super spectacular. But I still view it in a positive way. Contra.
You might want to actually show the game instead of just talk about it.
The new Contra game I heard wasn't really that great.
Oh god, that new Contra game, I remember you, Mishiroi, Dwibs, and Deji were there for that. None of us recognized that as Contra before.
No, I have to admit. Keep in mind that I don't have that much experience with the franchise myself. But,
so, Pedro, what is happening right now?
We're the Dev Jam.
Dev Jam Superstar. The problem is,
game that bankrupted the studio that guy was the head of.
Oh
yeah,
dear.
Russell Simmons, the founder of Def Jam.
Big giant white
and okay, and the problem is, I guess maybe it's because of the screwed up equipment. They don't actually talk out. They don't actually show the bloody game.
And we kept finding new, innovative ways to make it better, and all this technology and Nick and his partners.
So I guess they had to improvise.
So, Pedro, I'm curious, is this like the sort of conference where it slowly works its way up with how crazy things get, or is it like one that...
No, don't worry, this is one of the slower periods, but it's mostly because they right now, most likely backstage, they're figuring out what the hell do we do now, you know, so basically they've asked this guy to just, you know, talk as much as you can while we try to sort this out backstage, probably.
something that
I'm
speaks
guessing
right
he's
to their heart.
Oh,
Jova,
Reason the establishment
pay
hasn't
no
really
attention
addressed
to
it.
the men behind the curtain.
And
So
here
it
we
seems.
are
So what
again, we
exactly
have
was
these
this
ways
game
for kids to
about?
create
Since
their
this
own
mic
music,
equipment isn't
their
exactly
own
the best to
videos.
make
I
out
can
what these
answer that
people
because
are
I have the
saying.
page right
create their
now.
own
Def
careers
Jam
and
Rap
express
Star is a
themselves in
rapping
ways
karaoke
that
game.
have, over the
It
years,
uses
proven
radio
to me
versions of all its tracks
these
to secure a T
expressions have
rating by the
been
SRB.
a very
Players are
important
not
part
penalized
of
for
their mental
cursing,
development,
but it's not a
education
required part
process,
of the game. That's a
and
stupid
the way
statement.
they, relate
There
to
are
the
two
world.
modes, your career
Obviously,
party
it's been
modes. The
linked to
career
social
mode is
and
easy in 5
political,
stages. Each
kind of
stage has
inputs
8
in this
tracks.
country. It's brought people
The
together in
new
ways that
new song
so many
challenges
ways
is
it's hard to
unlocked.
even,
The party mode
to
also
count, but one of the things I think
allows players to
benefit
simply
of
pick
hip-hop
an
is
individual
that
song
we
and
have
perform it.
President Obama.
It's very simple.
And,
It was done
the
apparently was
way
actually
people learn
developed
to
by
relate
both
to each other
Terminal
when TV put
Reality and
Run
4mm
Run
games.
DMC on MTV,
Reception
it
was
was like there were no black
warm,
people.
generally
There
favorable
certainly were no
reviews.
people speaking
Huh,
about
that's
Well,
nice.
So,
but
yeah,
the
kind
but
of,
the Wii version
struggles
instead
that
was
communities
mixed
were
or
having
average.
that would be
I
overlooked.
remember
So
the good old
voices were
karaoke
voiceless
games.
people.
They ranged from, okay,
And it was
these
so
are pretty
authentic and it
good,
crossed so many
to,
boundaries
oh,
in
you
so
can
many
just speak
countries. We
anything
opened
into the
Def
mic
Jam
and it
offices
will
all over the world.
automatically assume that you said the right
And
thing
these
to,
voices are still
holy
representing
crap,
this-
this thing
this
cannot
under-
work to save
underground,
one's
although it's so
life.
mainstream.
But
So
wait,
kids in Beverly
because
Hills
the
are now
studio
speaking
actually got in
directly
trouble
with
with
kids
this
in
game.
Oh
you know,
no.
kids in Africa
For
are
more
speaking
millimeter.
to
The
Israel,
reason Def Jam
it's really
Rapstar was
has been this
lukewarm, and a
great
year later,
communication
the web
vehicle
portal burned
that,
through
no one
available
saw
funds and
coming.
was closed without
And so
warning.
Rapstar,
4mm
although
founder
it seems
Jamie
like,
King later stated in an
obviously
interview that the
just by
problem was
technology,
that they
that
became too
karaoke
ambitious
game
and that
is
he
your
wished they had
karaoke
either
where
pushed the
that
game
means, but
back or made
it's
it for
the best,
Kinect,
you know, in
or had
terms
it
of
come out a
what
year
it
earlier.
offers
4mm
and
continued to
what
work
anybody would have
on other projects such
imagined
as an
that
experiment with
this
UK
kind of game
developer
could offer.
Jagex.
But
However,
beyond
March
that,
31st,
what kids are gonna take to
2012,
it.
EMI Music Group filed a suit against the 4mm Terminal Reality. The suit claimed that the game used 54 unlicensed tracks valued at $150,000 each.
Wow.
On May 15, 2012, Game Industry had an interview with King, who said 4mm had run out of money and he sold on. One reason King cited was the ongoing lawsuit. 2 months later, City National Bank sued Konami and Autumn Games for $8.9 million, where a $15 million line credit approved for the game's development. It is unclear what effect, if any, the CNB lawsuit will have on any potential future of 4mm, but it's defunct since 2012.
I'm pretty sure it's so you're telling me that despite warm reception, this game kind of ended up killing
And apparently because someone in the studio immensely fucked up with the copyright of the song.
Wow.
Ah.
Oh, that's a big oopsie. Speaking of big oops, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that in this E3.
We're like 15 minutes in and not much has happened.
Like, good God.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry, Tail, but our plans are kind of been screwed over by the equipment, so we need to pad this out and see if we can solve things. That's probably one of the big reasons why the conference is 1 hour and 40 minutes. It probably was supposed to be shorter, but, you know.
I'm curious, Pedro, is like, was a lot of that technical difficulty stuff, was that confirmed, or was that basically the audience having to play detective, and eventually the truth got dragged out?
We saw before, Jova, that one of the videos was supposed to start, but the video player actually crashed, so...
Yeah, so clearly that's the... We have actual... It's right there.
You know what this reminds me of? That EA fighting game that was supposed to be between rappers and whatnot.
It's another Def Jam game, Jova.
It's okay, guys. At least the equipment seems to be working now.
Basically, Jova, Def Jam recordings had tried to do 2 things going on at the same time. The fighting games for EA and a proper music game with Konami, but this is the only representative of that.
Oh, wow. I guess that explains a lot. You know, it's funny because the DJ fighting game also fell into rather damn misfortune. Yeah. So,
is that guy holding a leg?
So basically...
Oh, hey! It's Kanye West's collaboration with, oh god, with, shoot, what's that duo that wear the helmets? Yeah, Daft Punk.
So, it's a gay fish simulator.
Yeah. Basically, Dwibs, it may interest you to know that Kanye West did a collaboration with Daft Punk once, so what the...
What up? Coming soon to a console near you.
What the hell does that even mean?
I don't know.
Moving on.
Wow. already I'm starting to see signs that there's more to this thing than meets the eye. And hello?
Oh, I think we're about to get
Hello?
the wrestling beat now.
I think.
Why are the lights
never
out?
mind. Okay,
Per-
ladies and gentlemen, please stand by for
Oh my god.
Oh, never mind. Trailer. Okay.
Why did they have to? You know what? Never mind. Not even gonna question it.
Jova, it is not to be questioned. Yes, Theo, you're right.
What the?
Lucha Libre. What?
You are allowed
Well,
to
I'll
feel
just be like, hey,
pain.
what?
Why?
Okay.
Anything else?
You're allowed to pray. I don't want to though.
Well, it's nice when they offer you the option at least. Oh god. But in the ring.
That's a literal clown.
Yeah.
You're only allowed one outcome.
Looking incredibly awkward.
He looks like a Kiss fan.
Victory! Oh god, that's so stupid.
That doesn't really make much sense, but okay, sure. Let's run with that
So
mantra.
basically, for those who don't know, Lucha Libre is basically Latino wrestling, basically.
Yeah, that's the culture of very important stuff like the mask for people like Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Lucha Libre, Héroes del Ring, a.K.A. Heroes of the Ring.
I wonder how this game turned out.
Oh, god,
Here we go.
No.
I see someone has exited the shower right now.
This is not wrestling, it's lucha libre. I'm very excited to be here.
Why do you have a belt on your shoulder? Excuse
that's
me? You're here to talk about video games, not...
The championship belt too.
No, I know, but you're here to talk about, you know, the video game. Like,
I guess E3 is now a big publicity stunt.
Well, let's listen to him then too.
Our first of several electrifying intellectual properties based on Hispanic pop culture. Lucha Libre AAA Héroes del Ring. You may have noticed that our booth has a huge ring in it. Some of you may have even seen the purpose of it. We're introducing you to the sport of lucha by hosting several real matches each day at the show.
That's
okay.
Real Lucha Libre matches at E3! Isn't that what you always wanted?
For the record, this was the only game released for this particular category ever. You know?
Oh no.
And the PlayStation 3 version received mixed reviews, while the Xbox 360 version received generally unfavorable reviews.
Oh no. So I'm guessing that pretty much killed the idea of Lucha Libre.
Not only
games.
that, I had no idea why this is in a Konami conference, because it states that this was potentially co-published by a company called Slang.
A real-life Lucha Libre heavyweight championship title match will take place.
I mean,
here.
okay.
He just screwed up his words, like, it's so clear that he has no experience.
And apparently it was released only in America, not even in Europe or Japan.
Wait, really?
Mexico, but whatever.
So let me get this straight. A Lucha Libre game only released in America. You know, not even Mexico, the place where Lucha Libre
I have no
originated
idea.
from.
What is
Did I miss
going on?
something?
You're just in time for the wrestling beat.
Konami doesn't know geography, it seems.
Okay. So, if I may ask, Lucha Libre, so aside from the whole mask...
Alright, guys, now,
Silver King.
believe it or not, they're gonna start attacking each other.
Sweet.
He did said we're gonna have a match hosted for each of the day.
But there's no
Also,
ring.
That guy has the yin-yang symbol right on his crotch.
Unless this is like a backstage brawl or something, then I'm not sure how this is gonna work.
So, El Magnífico, El Guapo, The Chosen One, El Elegido.
Hey. They're waiting.
They're waiting though, because that's important, I guess.
290 pounds.
What are my video games?
Why? No, guys.
Because...
No, guys. You gotta know all the stats for these guys that you'll be playing as, of course.
Do we need to know them right now?
Yes, you do. This is important.
Oh, slap!
So, okay, so aside from the whole mask thing, what differentiates Lucha Libre
Oh,
from...
excuse me, who
what?
are you?
Héroes del Ring. Y mañana estaré ahí en la Expo E3, apabuñándolos, acabándolos.
Is this really important?
Donde yo seré
Is this E3 anymore?
figura. La nueva
Welcome to a budget version of Lucha Underground.
Okay. So, in regards to Lucha Libre, are there any main differences between this and, typical wrestling?
I'm not really.
Gentlemen, save it for the ring. Save it for the
Gentlemen,
ring.
please,
Tomorrow-
act civilized.
Hey. Save it for the ring. Save it. It's tomorrow, 1:45 p.m.
Okay, I'm not an expert
Hey,
on.
I'm just
All right.
Oh
I'm
no!
not an expert on wrestling, but I think they do just a bit more than slapping
Tomorrow's
each
the
other.
championship.
Well, there's not a very big environment.
start strangling the host.
Oh my god.
Leave the host alone. He didn't do anything. Also, the host's face right now.
Yeah, seriously, he's not really caring. He just came for the paycheck.
Oh, they're stealing him now. They've stolen him.
Salteo, are you sold on this game?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
By that, I mean, no.
Guys, if the host can't sell being choked,
So,
I don't have much confidence in this.
so, video games? Thank you.
Yes, video games.
that was...
Oh, this is the other games based on the Saw franchise.
Oh.
Believe it or not, they actually whoever developed this actually gave a shit because they bothered to construct the trap with the supervision of the people involved with the movie. They even actually casted the main actor who plays Jigsaw to do the voices.
But I heard the game was still not very good.
I'm just gonna check. I think John reviewed it.
He and Elliot
Didn't you
didn't
do the
like
series,
it.
like a Halloween thing or something?
There we
No.
go, Zombie Studios. I'm checking just specifically this one and not the first game. Yeah, generally unfavorable reviews, even much less than the original Saw game on both platforms.
Ooh.
Oh well.
So basically, the majority of games we've seen here ended up either killing the franchises, killing the dev teams,
dev team.
or just being outright received unfavorably.
Also, I'm checking here, Zombie Studios is also another studio that got defunct in 2015. But they did work with Konami for a couple of things, but I don't think they were like one of their major, subsidiaries.
WC Field said never follow a dog act.
Jesus Christ, this host sounds like he's on horse tranquilizers.
What does that mean?
What the hell does that
I'm
mean?
John Williamson, the producer and designer of Saw 2 Flesh and Blood. Once again, the team
You
and I
sound
have
so
revisited
enthused
the
about that,
sick,
dude.
demented world of Jigsaw.
By the way, this
Traps,
studio was the
we
one that
returned
actually
with more
brought you the
action,
original
the
Spec Ops
survival
franchise,
horror genre,
for
and
example.
fans of the Saw movies.
I have absolutely
This
no
time around, we
passion
have
in my
not only
life.
Tobin Bell's
Look at
voice,
him, he
but
doesn't
his
even look
likeness,
happy to be
as
there.
well as music from Charlie Clausen.
I am.
All the minigames in Saw 2
I'm here
are
trying to
brand
sell you
new,
my
and
game.
We have a mix of both
Yeah, that
plastic
game.
traps from the Saw
But,
Can we
movie
bring back the guy who was kidnapped by wrestling?
for this game.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a rough night sleeping last night.
Unfortunately, Sheila, that's exactly the problem. He was kidnapped.
Tests,
Now he's
as
missing.
Jigsaw calls them, are built on two primary pieces: a twist on everyday machinery designed to test a subject, coupled with an easy to understand but difficult
This guy
to
sounds like
master
he's
minigame.
asleep while
That's
being
such a
awake.
generic line
Not just a
for
game
saying
mechanic.
something about
They
Saul's
also serve to
puzzle. Come
expand
on.
the story
You might as well
and
just
often
you might
have
as well
ironic
just say
reference to the
you're
character's
going
flaws
on an
that have led them to this
experience.
state
Yeah,
where they're
my
being
game
tested
is
by
difficult
Jigsaw.
but challenging.
The
I
player
will
must
show
free
you
these
the
test
true
subjects
horrors
from
of
the traps
society.
that are set in the game.
Like
Play
on
your
paper,
control.
The traps
on
are a
paper,
big
I
part
can
of
actually
the
see
success
some
of the movie
potential
franchise.
because the
We treat
puzzles
the
of the
traps
traps
as
in
mini
Saw
bosses,
are
if you
not
will.
too deep and just more
Culmination of
elaborate
each level.
of the ones of your typical
This
Silent
is
Hill
part of
video
the Saw
games. So
universe,
Konami is the
and some
publisher,
characters
would
must
be a
pass
natural
additional
fit,
tests.
giving it
So
some
not every
boost
freed
from
subject
the
will
Silent
be
Studio.
how,
If it wasn't for the fact that
unless
the
they have to
original
stab
Team
you in
Silent
the back.
was already gone by this point.
As nothing in the Saw
Also, how
universe is ever exactly
how
what it
fitting.
first seemed,
Watching a
they chose
Konami
the
conference
name
and there's a
Flesh and Blood
thunderstorm
for
going on
its
outside.
Not only is there plenty of flesh and
You know,
blood
I
in the
think I'm
game,
noticing a
but
pattern
you
with
play as
this
the
conference
estranged
here.
son of
It
the
goes
player
from
character
0 to
Detective
11,
Pat
then
from the
back
first
to
game,
0, then back to 11
A.K.A.
every now and
his
then.
flesh and
And
blood.
for each
A
game
roller
that's
coaster,
Through a story
great.
replete with
and for
twists,
each game,
turns, double crosses,
and for
and
each
false
game that's been
endings, we
presented,
expand
something
on the Saw
goes
universe.
wrong. Like literally,
Adding
for
new
like the first
characters,
bit, there was that
expanding on
technical
the highest
malfunction.
grossing horror
Then you know there was having to
franchise
have
of
the
all
guy
time.
for the Def Jam game
Saw
just
2 Flesh
clap
and
off
Blood
his
will be
gums
released
forever.
this
Then
Halloween
there was the
for PlayStation
wrestling
3 and
luchador
Xbox
game, which
360.
technically has a
And there's
rather
a playable
enthusiastic
demo on the
host,
Konami booth.
but had some of the worst
And now for our
presentation
next
whatsoever. And now you've got this, which looks like it could be an interesting game, but has a completely uninterested guy talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like, can anything go right for the C3?
Oh, here we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Now even
Hello.
Listen to him.
okay, even I know about this guy. I've seen the meme videos.
My name is Tak Fuji. I'm a lead producer in the 1999.
At least he looks happy to be there.
Oh yeah.
We are very excited about
Somebody
our
has to
upcoming
be.
release on June 29th, which is 3 weeks away. There have been many improvements since the last release in the 1999.
Last release?
Oh my god.
What is a release?
By the way, this game we're about to see, 1992, is a sequel to what was supposed to be, you know, a Microsoft IP, because the first one was. This one is also a console exclusive for the Xbox 360, but the first one was also published by Microsoft. So you think they were going for the action bundle with the second one? No, it's Konami now.
Wow.
Wow.
1 million troops.
1 million too.
Okay. Did this guy just come high?
Shiroi, please applaud. You're supposed to
And
applaud
also
now.
you'll see
No.
that the difficulty levels will be changed on a 2 players mode.
Oh my
and
god.
making
Wait, is he about to say it?
The game apparently got poor reviews.
gameplay will be
Yeah,
Oh.
but it was also the
the co-op mode
it was
our booth after the press conference. It's
Oh.
available. Okay, number 2, graphics.
Oh.
With the new engines, this game
With the
has
new
enough
engines.
power to display hundreds
What
of
engine? It's not even
dynamic screen
stated
at once.
here.
You
Did they
will
show
find us
gameplay
many
or
other
throw a
games.
I
trailer?
think we're getting a trailer
You will find
later on.
many more
But by the way, this was also co-developed by Fewpools. If you don't know them, they're the guys responsible for Mindjack.
Oh
This is
no.
But they were promising because they helped Mistwalker co-developing Lost Odyssey. So
What?
the fuck?
Hold on, listen.
Not funny.
Yeah, you're not funny.
No, you're not funny, no.
Number 3, gameplay.
There's a list.
Gameplay does
Game
it.
also requires the use of
Yeah,
very
it has game.
Where are my games? Where are my video games? Where are the video games?
Are you sure about that?
You know, just saying the word gameplay over and over again
It's
doesn't
like-
work as a
it's like the
substitute.
trailer. It's like the bots trailer for Bayface Kids. It's animation.
All stages you have a different set
What the
of
fuck is
enemies
this
and information.
conference?
You really need to think of how the format
Okay,
Swift is dying.
Breathe, please.
and
it's
how
gameplay.
otherwise all the enemies will be
It's
continuous
got
format.
gameplay in
You
it.
will be have the engines fighting.
Please be
which is
excited.
main property.
Wait, is he about to say it?
I mean, we've had them.
But you won't be finishing the single stage even you won't finishing the single level. So
Well, I'm not gonna buy the game then if I can't beat a single level.
Wait.
What are you talking about, you moron?
Also, this to sound is actually a selling
weakness
point.
points as well. So
Shiroi, maybe you can decipher what the hell this moron
Okay.
is trying to get across. What the fuck is he saying?
Okay, this may be one of the most passive-aggressive ways to try and pitch a game I've seen before.
it will be available in
Shiroi,
June
what is he
29th
talking about?
on Xbox 360.
I don't know.
Latest trailer of the 99 Nights.
You figure it out.
Honestly, I don't even know what the original game was about.
You're gonna pull a. I'm not gonna tell you. You figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
why do I have to spell it out for you?
Oh, let me guess. It's one of those games that. Let me guess. It's one of those games that tries to present itself on being artsy and hard to understand. When
No,
in
I
reality,
think it's a generic
just...
hack and slash.
Yeah.
Apparently not, but like I said, apparently it's not a very good one.
Again, that seems to be the recurring theme with this conference.
Yeah.
A lot of the games presented here turned out to be pretty bad.
Yeah, those quotes that pop up in like giant text in these kinds of trailers.
It's a Dynasty Warrior clone.
You know those giant texts that have like selling points on the game.
Yeah.
Like good graphics and all that stuff. I'm surprised one won't turn. I'll be surprised if one doesn't turn up on there and just say gameplay or something like that.
Yeah. Pokemon Red and Blue. It's a video game.
Yeah, imagine if the most famous video games of all time had that kind of marketing. Final Fantasy VII, it's an RPG.
Or Mega Man Battle Network. It's a Mega Man game, except not really. Oh god, is he about to say it?
And now, for the next presentation.
Bye.
And now,
There we
goodbye.
go.
Okay, then.
That was weird.
How you doing?
Alright, can we stick
Oh,
to...
Automedius excellent. I actually know this one.
Alright, Konami, can we stick to native English speakers for this program, please?
Game for the United States. Ultimadius Excellent. Ultimadius Excellent.
This is another Xbox 360 exclusive, in terms of console exclusive. It's a spin-off. Well, Microsoft did establish a couple of contracts back in the day. This is a spin-off of Great Use, except with anime girls. There's not much to it. And apparently it was released in Japan and North America. Europe could suck it, I guess.
Did it turn out to be good?
You'll be able to experience classic style gameplay with a
doesn't say the reception, but only the release.
Gameplay like never before. Indulge in brilliant environments and art rendered in high definition.
So when are they going to show up the anime girls?
Soon enough, we're about to get a trailer.
I love how he's talking. Okay, well, okay, maybe the game was genuinely good, and it just happened to also have anime girls.
You can also team up
because they gotta get that
I mean, it's a spin-off of it's a spin-off of Great Use. So, oh wait, it actually hold on. I'm checking in the meantime. It's a spin-off of Great Use, so it's a shooter, so it should be at least decent in quality.
What they've been waiting for. Deeply anchored with the roots of Gradius and Parodius, an import shooter has never been this challenging, this attractive.
Oh boy!
I mean, this guy's trying to,
It's the best one ever, guys.
I know, right? He's the best presenter out of the bunch today.
Part of the title of the game is excellent.
And now, a sneak peek at the girls of Automadius Excellent.
Extremely
Coming
excellent.
this winter exclusively
Yes.
to Xbox 360
Alright, let's see just how excellent it is.
Okay.
Was the composer the same for the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force games?
So basically, it looks like every generic anime ever.
Well,
it's a spaceship. It's waifu spaceships, Pedro.
Well,
don't you want them?
Can I see the gameplay, please?
No, I think this is just the opening.
No, you'll enjoy the anime
the classic anime opening, Jova, which has nothing to do with the video game itself.
So they can't even be bothered to show off gameplay.
Which is baffling to me because it's a shooter. It should be easy to produce gameplay out of this.
So when was this game released?
2011.
So guys, are you sold on this shooter
And now
game?
for the next
Again,
part, I'd like
show
to
me
present
some
all.
gameplay.
It is
I
my pleasure
mean,
to introduce you all
this
to a
tells
very
nothing
exciting
and everything at the same time. Yes, it is waifu, and yes, it's a shooter, so I can imagine what the gameplay may be, but, you know, it could have been nice to actually
as
show
well as
something.
maximizing the
Alright, moving
functionality
on
of
to
the product.
Adrenaline Misfits, now that
The
we were
result?
done showing off
A game that families and friends can enjoy together.
So
with the
Shira,
ability
would you
to
say
not
that
just
was
play the
extra
game,
excellent,
but
like
to
you
be
said?
in the game and
Nah,
experience it.
it's
The development
animes.
team and I love to surf and snowboard.
It's
But this
trash.
is a project
But Shira, it also has a
we're
shooter.
We
excited to work
try.
on.
But Shira, it's
We
also a
hope
shooter.
that you will feel our passion in what you see
I don't
and
like
play
those
today.
either.
I want to briefly talk about 3 distinct characteristics that make Adrenaline
Okay,
Misfits
if we
unique.
keep this
I mean, I
guy...
will say this,
First,
this guy at least knows how to present
anyone
a
of
game and
any
memorize a
age can
script.
play this game.
You know, if they keep
No
him
need
for
to
the rest of the
memorize button
conference, I think it might be
combinations or
smooth
look down at your
sailing.
Too bad they
Anything you
won't.
do in front of the
No, I
Of
think
course.
it drops in a
Translated
couple
for
of
your
minutes.
Xbox 360
So Pedro,
avatar
would you say
or
that we have
custom Adrenaline
crossed through the
Misfits
worst of this,
avatar on
or is there
screen.
still more crazy
Move
stuff
your
to
feet,
come?
There's
arms,
one particular
hands, and legs, and
Japanese
your
guy
character
that
will do the
I'm
same.
looking forward to because
Adrenaline
his
Misfits allows
the
you to
way
feel
he
like you're in the game.
he's amazing in the way he
Next
talks. You'll
is the
see.
game
I'll
experience.
admit, already,
Adrenaline
Never
Misfits.
before have
oh
you been
man,
able to feel the
already
rush
this
of
E3
speed
has not
and the incredible
disappointed
control you
regarding
have over
the
your
stories
character
of
in
it.
fantasy-inspired worlds. This isn't just a racing game.
It's just the way they
It's a
present
battle to
stuff.
the
It's
bottom.
so backwards.
Explore
Okay, so
and
we have a
gain
shooting.
power-ups
So,
all
so we
over
have
the
a shooting
course to
game.
increase your
What we're gonna
character's
show? We're gonna
abilities
show
and
the
take out
anime
your
intro,
opponents.
and that's it. That's
Of
all
course,
because you know
getting to
that
the
tells us a
Because-
lot about the game.
Because of
Doing
course, the
tricks
first
and
thing
combos of
shooting
aerial
game
maneuvers
fans think
as you
about
race
is
to boost your
anime
character's
girls.
score, providing you the
I
Right.
mean, so, at least for the Japanese audience, yes.
But remember, Tio, this was when Konami were on, trying to please the American audience just as much.
Yeah, this was trying to introduce the American audience to the weeb stuff.
Again, though, why not show off both gameplay and the anime girl stuff?
Yeah, that
then?
I don't understand. Mostly because, like I said, it would have been easy to do so.
And the game came out in 2011, so surely they must have had some gameplay footage.
Alright, can you actually show the game, please?
No.
Well, talking about it does something. That's
Okay, Wikipedia doesn't have a page about this game, so I have no idea how it turned out.
Let's see.
Oh, it's a Kinect game.
Oh, a Kinect game. Well, considering how a lot of Kinect games turned out, one can only wonder. Because while the Kinect is...
I love this one.
Become a furry.
I absolutely love this kind of incredible condescending narration for kids media.
Become amazing characters. Who are these characters? Unreal environments. These environments look fake.
Well, he said unreal, so yeah, they're supposed to look fake, I guess.
Anyone can play. No, duh, anyone can play.
Also, I'm with Johnny for the argument that he mentioned about Sonic Free Riders. It was a bit too late for the extreme skate period.
Here's what I got from this. Adrenaline Misfits is a game that you can play.
And you're a furry.
There you go.
He just came back on the station drop immediately.
Are you sold?
Pedro, I would just like to tell you that it's a game you can play was the tagline used for the Sonic 1 Omochao edition. I wouldn't say that that's a good sell.
Oh god.
Revolutionary music game. Dance Master's working title.
Okay. This is part of an issue with Konami here. They had a lot.
Listen to this guy. This guy's amazing.
I'm the producer for Dance Revolution and Dance Masters.
Wow, you are like every stereotypical English guy.
Listen, this isn't him talk.
Oh, come on now. Don't tease him. Let's get on with the announcement. Konami
Is he high?
His hair is amazing.
Dance Evolution? Dance Evolution? No.
Wow, they're literally lampshading the fact that Dance Masters sounds similar to Dance Revolution.
Hold on.
Let's show you.
At least someone's having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone in the audience thought looking at his cell phone was the better idea.
So what exactly separates Dance Masters from Dance Revolution?
I'm checking.
Well, he's trying to tell you.
The demo gameplay footage and show them all.
He's just telling me about.
Wow, his voice dropped like 2 octaves there.
These two are a great comedic duo. I don't know what
Honestly, I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's fun.
Are they gonna play the game, are they?
Ah, here we go.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. I see.
It's for the Kinect, I think.
So dance.
No, I mean, where is it? Are they actually doing this, or
No, I
just
don't see any Kinect in front of them, so this is lying.
Wow. Maybe the Kinect is hidden somewhere behind the screen.
If it was, it would detect any kind of imperfection because the Kinect is that picky.
True.
Yeah, we have to be filmed from the back, which means it will detect all the people in the background, which will mean, and the objects like the mic, which will count as interference.
I see. So I get it. So basically, Dance Masters acted more like the Michael Jackson dancing game, whereas Dance Dance Revolution was something that used, the floor pad.
By the way, these had mixed reviews, just letting you know.
It's like I said, it's like having 2 dancing game franchises, even if they are kind of different, almost sounds like it's asking for oversaturation trouble. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I like the idea that you make one specific for the Kinect, but you continue the Dance Dance Revolution games for the other consoles. It's nice, and everyone can be happy this way. It's just that I don't think this was the ideal thing to milk at the moment.
Was Dance Masters a thing before this generation of gaming?
No, it was. It was the title specifically made for the Kinect.
Oh, so this was the.
No controller. It's just your body. It's not just dancing. This is Dance Masters. You're right. Anyone can dance to this.
Okay.
He's so into this.
Strike close to the markers on screen, especially if you have no mat or controllers. It's more.
Okay, now I think
Also,
I get it.
the American guy shirt. Seriously, it looks like a rejected 90s, sitcom character.
So I
He's
think
basically Alan from 2.5 Men.
Oh my God, he
you're
is.
right.
There you go. His name is Naoki Maeda.
Tracking.
Well, going by a running thing Konami seems to be doing throughout this conference. Naoki made it, a video game developer.
He's an actual composer.
Oh. Well, I guess, developers do include a wide variety of mediums, including composing.
We are always trying to incorporate evolution and revolution in our games.
Is he literally translating for the guy even though he's supposedly trying to speak English?
Yes.
Dude's still dancing and it's great.
Now explain to me, Jova, how the hell does this make any sense?
It doesn't.
It really doesn't. Hey, it makes about as much sense as... Okay, so I get it. So Dance Masters was supposed to be a new dancing IP. Oh, boy. I can see how well that went.
Oh, that was loud.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right?
Imagine being in the theater for that. Jesus.
Jova, this is from the creators of Dance Dance Revolution, as you can see.
Yeah, you can tell.
Okay, so not only was it the same house company, it was literally the same dev team. Wow, that
like I said, Jova, they tried to appease everyone by having an exclusive for the Kinect while continuing the DDR for the other consoles.
Jeez, I mean, at least with F-Zero, that feels different enough from Mario Kart that I could argue that we still need a new F-Zero game, but this just feels
DDR,
like...
DDR has rhythm different, while this one is going the dance central route of having you perform specific actions.
I guess that's part of the problem, though. I feel like maybe they should have just focused on making DDR the best that they could, and then maybe do Dance Masters here.
So
what
is next?
Or at least put a different team on Dance Masters with the other one supervising.
Oh, no, not Glee. Ugh.
Oh, why?
Okay, I remember distinctly the name, but I don't remember what this is about.
Basically, Glee is, let's remix all these popular songs.
Oh, fantastic! I ate it already.
I have a lot of celebrity guests at the same time.
Now, okay. To be
And
fair,
judging by how these characters are behaving in the show, yeah, it's something that I definitely would hate with a passion.
let me put it like this to you. Imagine if High School Musical tried to be more adult and mature in between having all these pop cultural tunes or whatnot. Now, granted...
So you're telling me that in between having these quote-unquote remixes of songs, the character expressing their love problems...
Love problems, drug problems, gay problems.
Any problem you have, you can sing about it.
Let me go.
From the way, from the way you described it, for a show called Glee, it sure has a lot of people not being very gleeful.
It's called a Glee. What is it supposed to? Because it's like Glee Club. Like, what is it even?
I guess the idea is that singing brings you glee.
Except the characters and the cast IRL hate each other.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me too much.
I mean, there are specific and very complicated reasons for that, but yes.
For reference sake, they actually tried to do a more family-friendly version of Gangnam Style.
Oh God!
Come and watch Glee. Please ignore the fact that I have a black eye. Come watch our show. Okay, I'm not sure if anyone on Glee ever actually had a punch-up on set or something. I'm just speculating, but you know.
Glee is just one of those weird bouts of history where you wonder, why is this a thing? How did this become a thing? Why do these people even bother to stick around? But it just is.
I mean, it'd be like if you had a show called
Now the news.
Death Match, but everybody is really happy with each other.
Wait, ABC, why are you including Disney in on this?
We interrupt this E3 conference, ladies and gentlemen, so we can go back and check ABC News and see what's going on the streets. There you go.
Again, that's a royalty you have to pay Disney. Why?
So basically, okay, Drips, it's the news now.
Well, I mean,
why are we watching ABC News? Konami!
Video games.
Again.
Is this
Oh!
an ABC? Hang on, sorry. Is this an ABC News simulation game or something? Where you have to play as the reporter reporting on the news?
You get a Konami game, and you get a Konami game.
Wow, guys, this Glee karaoke game is gonna be such the hot big thing.
It gets the Oprah seal of approval. Like,
and there you go. That's your trailer for Glee karaoke. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, because look how a Wrinkle of Time turned out with her approval.
Oh boy, now you get to hear one of Glee's remixes.
Which I guess I'll have to mute, because if there's thing that I can imagine for this kind of show being super popular is they will be stingy about their own music copyrights.
Yeah, well, considering the version we're looking at has been up for as long as it has...
I'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'm checking here.
Oh my god, they actually brought the class. They actually brought the cast of Glee here.
Okay. Let me use the hand clap meme just to be more clear, Konami. Video games.
Well, don't you see? We're technically seeing the game in the background. Somebody.
So, Dwibs, what do you think of the Glee Karaoke Revolution game?
Do not desecrate Queen with your Glee shit.
But
okay, that's I agree with you there, Dwibs. But what do you think of the game from what we've seen so far?
I'd rather play SingStar.
So
okay. The punchline was you were supposed to say that we haven't actually seen the game yet.
Again, we're technically seeing the game up on the screen, guys.
That's the thing, I don't mind sing-along games. I've played a few. But I mean, that's the thing.
I had the High School Musical one.
SingStar's a lot better because there's more variety. I know you're constrained to the TV show Glee, but that's the thing. By its nature, I'd much rather play something with more variety, like SingStar.
Also, I'll actually do one better, Dwibs. Do not ruin Queen, especially during Pride Month.
Oh,
This is worse. Go
God.
away.
So,
Like, even
guys,
behind
what?
the head, it's been Pride Month. Like,
So-
do not do this. This is an attack.
So, guys, are you enjoying the Glee experience?
No.
Can we have the twist of that Raiden shows up to promote Metal Gear Rising and, cut all these peoples away?
That's why the show isn't called Misery, but
Hell,
Stephen King already beat them to it.
Bonus points if it's actually Quinton Flynn cosplaying.
Also, I'd just like to ask: do any of the people in the audience, like the IRL audience, watch this show?
I guess maybe.
I actually did watch a couple episodes back in the day just to see what the fuss was all about, because this show was really popular back in the day. The only character I like is Jane Lynch's character, because Jane Lynch is great, and I don't understand why the hell they thought we were going to waste her on this show.
What did you think of the singing?
If in case you don't know who Jane Lynch is, she's the voice of Command Sergeant Calhoun in Wreck-It Ralph.
Also, yes, they are doing the full song. Also, so Pedro, what did you think of the songs in Glee when you saw it?
They sound terrible. But then again, I was never into this whole High School Musical shit that was a trend back then.
What did you think of them remixing tunes, old and new?
I don't like.
Well, that's the thing, Pedro. For as bland as the songs in High School Musical are, at least they're their own.
Well. So yeah.
Video games, please.
So,
Please,
Paige,
video games.
so better or worse than when Usher showed up?
Nah, that's fucking tough.
I would say maybe Usher, because Usher can at least, sing good in the first place.
I mean, does Glee at least have the entertain bitch character like Ashley Tisdale's was in the first High School Musical?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, they do.
Well, the best character in Glee was Jane Lynch's character, Dwibs. She was constantly giving all the teenagers shit. So she was a perfect proxy for.
Oh my god, end already!
Oh yeah, did I mention that some of their remixes actually extend the songs too?
Enough! Get off the stage!
Yeah,
Pedro, pull the cage, please!
Oh my god.
That'd be something you can somehow make Bohemian Rhapsody longer.
Never did I think that I would have to explain to you guys what Glee is during an E3 conference, but here we are.
Well, Joe, but you know what they say, if you live long enough, you're gonna end up seeing everything, so why not?
Jesus, holy cow. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not the worst E3 I have ever seen, but this is in the top 5. This is...
Excuse me, can we have a video game, please? I beg you.
What is this video game you speak of?
It's very easy.
But Mr. Tiaskavin, we
Mike
just
Pace,
showed...
oh no.
Oh look, it's Hudson. They're gonna show something. Let's see.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully.
Is this Bomberman Live?
Sure, I'll take
Oh,
these.
Beyblade. I remember these as a kid.
Let's make wheelies an exciting thing.
Okay.
Wait. Are you serious? I thought Beyblade was so independent.
Okay. Here's the deal, Dwibs. Konami had the licenses to a lot of anime tie-in material at the time.
Hold on, aside from these and Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't remember any particular. Maybe Shaman King, maybe, but I don't remember. Most of the stuff was either Atari, we programmed Atari, or Bandai, which later merged with Namco.
Oh, yeah, funny you mentioned Shaman King because that's getting a new
It's getting a reboot, yeah.
I know.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's because, Jova, if you don't remember, the manga actually detached from Shonen Jump, so now it's basically a complete new relaunch.
Okay, honest question. Was Beyblade even still a thing in 2010?
It's still to these days, Jova.
It's still to this day.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously? Okay,
Not even joking. I actually got a screenshot from one of my friends. I think it's one of the more recent anime seasons. They actually showcase, they actually tell the in-universe Beyblade have been used from the ancient times, complete with a still image of Moses dividing the Red Sea with a Beyblade.
Wow. Okay. For those who don't know, Beyblade was one of those series where back in the day, as kids, you bought the toys thinking, wow, I could do all this amazing stuff I see on the show with it. Only to be disappointed that, no, your Beyblades would not turn into giant monsters upon
They were
fighting.
actually banned in my school because people were hurting their faces.
It was part of all. It was part of all those early 2000s animes. They were basically ripping off the Pokemon formula. You know, like okay, it's Pokemon but with Beyblades. It's Pokemon but with cards. You know, like basically copy that basic formula that Pokemon made popular.
I'm surprised your Beyblades is still
God.
about that.
So
Whoa.
fucking loud. So there you go, Teo. There's your there you go. You wanted video games? Here's a sports game.
What the hell am I looking at?
Better, Teo?
Do we have to answer the question?
Hey, guys, I hate to bust your chops here, but Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games pretty much handles a lot of the mini games I've seen here already, so
And even so, Microsoft already had its own. Microsoft and Nintendo had their own main sports lines.
This is one of the most.
Sports are free.
This is literally one of the most redundant-looking titles I've ever seen before. What reason would I have had to have gotten this?
Okay, Deca Sports Free doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
That's
another Kinect game.
No, it's a Wii Motion Plus game. Sure, they said it earlier.
Yeah, compatible with Wii Motion Plus.
Maybe it would also
released in September, October 2010.
It's the deepest Deca sports game yet.
Wait, a lot
But
of these...
it doesn't face the reception.
You know what was a really good game from EA Sports on the Wii? The golf games, because they use the Wii Motion Plus to great effect in those games.
Oh, yeah, the Tiger
Are they
Woods
still
ones.
under the label Tiger Woods?
I
Probably.
think so.
I think they only stopped like
So
in the
basically, if I understood correctly, this is a Wii Sports knockoff. Okay.
Pretty much.
So first
Only
we get the
it
Mario.
has already an history. This is like the third installment, but the first one was done in 2008, so it was basically riding the tide of a Wii Sports clone.
So first we got the Mario and Sonic knockoff, and now we're getting the Wii Sports. Oh, so it's a mix between a Wii Sports and a Mario and Sonic knockoff. How nice.
You get all the video games, Jova.
Wait, hold on.
All
Is
the
this
mini
one a
games.
Connect title?
No, it's still a Wii exclusive.
Pedro, I got a question.
Weird, because it looks like these guys are doing it with, you know, their hands and no
I
controllers.
can tell you this, Jova, the game with the Kinect was done afterwards, Deca Sports Freedom.
So why are these guys doing it with just their hands and not a controller, though, on this commercial?
Do they announce Dr. Lautrec in the conference?
No, they don't. No, they don't announce Dr. Lautrec, no.
Jeez, was Dr. Lautrec ever shown in any
I don't think so, but just to be sure.
The Layton games were never announced at E3, so what makes you think Dr. Lautrec is worthy of being on an E3 stage?
No, it wasn't announced.
Although Ace Attorney was shown at E3, surprisingly enough.
Here's a trailer of
Well, Ace Attorney is actually one of Capcom's star franchises, so that's
true.
Not bad.
Yeah.
What's
Which game was showed off?
Lost in Shadow, I think.
No, I mean, which Ace Attorney game?
All of them have been shown off at E3 at some point. Hello.
This was also developed by Hudson Soft.
Yeah.
Lost in Shadow. This looks like an eco game.
For me to wear the game, yeah, it's similar in style, yes. Basically, it's one of those. It's you know all those indie games about a boy taking a journey in a side-scroller game like Limbo. This is kind of a precursor to that kind of game, basically.
Yeah, it actually does look nice. Apparently, it got a more enhanced port on the Wii U 6 years later.
Did it turn out good?
Let me check. The mix to positive.
Well, I guess that's better than most of the games we've seen in this conference. Like, Jesus, I think about 85% of the games shown ended up being stinkers or franchise killers.
Watanabe.
Yeah, this song is clearly basically just a discount eco theme song, basically.
I like how it's presented like in this
It's a
shadow.
very exciting song.
Well, it's called Lost in Shadow, so...
No, I know, but I like the aesthetic of it. Definitely the most impressive of the game shown so far.
Oh, finally. Maybe this conference can...
They've shown a video game!
I've got one video game.
The protagonist of the story is a shadow of a boy who has been separated from his body.
You know,
Shadow's main goal is to reunite with
you
his
know,
sister.
guys, we are watching
A
this
massive tower
E3
in the
with
land
the
around
advantage of having some amount of foresight of what a stinker this was going to be. Imagine the people who are watching this live, like
me.
Okay. So, like with the Microsoft one, why don't you tell us what it was like for people watching it live, Pedro?
Well, Joe, but what do you think? Obviously, I couldn't believe what the fuck I was seeing, because, I mean... Why the hell are the wrestlers slapping each other in a fucking E3 conference? Why did we stop everything to show the entire cast of Glee singing? Like,
For a whole 3.5 minutes, roughly.
Why did Charlie Brown was a translator for that guy?
Also, why did it just give up halfway through?
Oh, are they struggling to show footage again?
Oh, the next Silent Hill. I think
Oh,
it's
no, they're
gonna
not.
be.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be Downpour, the one we're about to show.
For the next Silent Hill game.
Okay.
Wow. I love how excited these guys are. Hello and welcome. Silent.
The development studio attached to the project. As you all know, Silent Hill has been
That guy to the
premier
left is
franchise
like
for Konami for the
stoned.
past decade, since its debut back
Yeah,
in
I think they're the guys from
1999 on
Vatra
the original
Games.
PlayStation.
Like, I watched
Since then, we've seen
Nitrored's
Silent Hill take many
retrospective
different
on the entire
approaches to
Silent
game
Hill franchise,
visual
and he commented
presentation,
with of the ones
mechanics,
done
and
after
most
Team
importantly,
Silent
the frightening
left
nature of the game
officially.
that has contributed
Downpour
to
is the
its
one that has
popularity.
more passion, it's more akin to the
I wanna
spirit
share
of the
more about the
franchise.
next
It's still
Silent Hill
not,
with all of you.
Didn't
you know,
people
on
hate
par.
Downpour?
At launch, yes, but because it was clearly released unfinished, and despite the bunch of the studios actually trying to save it with a proper patch, Konami killed the studio and probably the franchise because this was the last done in a while.
Which is funny.
But keep in mind, I'm not sure if we're talking about this game right now.
You know what's funny? Didn't the same thing that come out on Downpour, wasn't that those god-awful remasters?
Yeah, the collection, but it wasn't done by Vatra Games. Vatra Games had done another revival for Konami for the game Russian Attack, similar in the same spirit as what Green did for Bionic Commando ER for Capcom.
From what I hear, one of the main problems with Downpour was also the choice of protagonists here. Like, usually the ideal protagonists is that they were generally well-meaning people as far as you knew from the start here, whereas in turn, this guy would be an actual criminal here.
Yes, but I want to say, Joe, because I actually spoiled myself the story. It starts, you know, thinking, oh, this guy's a criminal, he has killed people and everything, but it develops from there. It doesn't stay in one note.
Oh, I know, but that's part of the issue people had with it.
Let me check the trailers just to be sure.
See, originally people thought, okay, so this guy's a criminal. This means that he'll have, you know, a sense of general mystique or, you know, maybe, you know, gray morality. Nope. It turns out it's none of that, to which I suppose...
Actually, it has, Jova, because despite the first thing that you see in Downpour, yeah, I think it is Downpour, yeah, I think it is. The first thing that you see in Downpour is this guy killing a person in jail. So that the game tells you immediately what this guy is doing. But the more you progress the story, the more you understand that this guy had a vengeance, you know, revenge against the guy that killed, you know, then that later he regretted it, and then that he has to learn the fact that he has fucked over a couple people, and he has to repent for it in true Silent Hill fashion. And besides, this is also the game that doesn't recycle, you know, Pyramid Head and nurses because, quote-unquote, they are iconic to the franchise. Again, of all the Silent Hill games, this is the one that actually got what the franchise was supposed to be, but it was one, too little too late, and two, Konami rushed this turkey before it was cooked in the oven. Keep in mind, this is also unfortunately the only major Silent Hill game where Akira Yamaoka does not compose, their placement, Daniel Leach, is fine, but it's not Akira Yamaoka.
So, yeah, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, the idea behind this game is interesting. It's just knowing what would happen. This game is kind of a franchise killer.
Well, because of unfortunate circumstances of what happened, I do believe that if not rushed, you know, it could have been instead the savior. Because remember,
Definitely, yeah.
Of the games done after Silent Hill 4, only Shattered Memories was the one that convinced a bit the audience, because both Origins and Homecoming, plus the HD collection, you know, were not convincing the audience at all. You know, they changed radically the gameplay, partially the story as well.
Hell, the HD collection, if anything, just killed more faith in the
The only thing positive that I can say about the HD collection is the recasting, you know, the actual giving competent voice actors. And even then you can consider it a turn-off, because part of the charm of Silent Hill is hearing those cheesy, you know, voice actors. So it can be a bit of a detractor, but no, you have, the company responsible fucked up so much that they haven't had to replace the font of one of the billboard with fucking Comic Sans.
God damn. Not only that.
Your absolute favorite, too.
Welcome to Silent Hill. Welcome to Silent Hill. Visit our lemonade stand.
Not only that, but there was also apparently controversy about supposedly them owing one of the old voice actors certain royalties, and that was a whole nother mess. And that was a whole nother mess itself of controversy. It's like, damn. Let's just say the year that this game came out was a pretty bad year for Silent Hill. But hey, I'm sure it would all be better when Silent Hills would come about, right?
Never ever.
I'll just say this, I'm glad I'm not a Silent Hills fan, because holy cow, the suffering those guys have had to endure. Not only that, but the HD collection is kind of currently the main one available, and that one sucks, so
if you wanna, well, there are methods. If you have a decent PC, there is an entire guide on how to actually get onto the main 4 titles. I'll post it later if you're interested, Jova.
The music from our new composer, Dan Licht, who you may recognize from the hit
oh boy, the composer stuff here. Let's just say Silent Hill had an iconic composer who kind of got
like I mentioned, this was the only actual Silent Hill product that did not have Akira Yamaoka as the composer. Hell, even the shitty live-action movies had still Akira Yamaoka.
Now this, of course, got a lot of worry from people because, well, he was kind of like what Jake Kaufman was to Shantae, until that series inexplicably let him go itself with 7 Sirens.
Next.
Okay,
oh, well... Never Dead. Okay, I know this one. I actually have a copy, but I tried playing it, but I actually rage quitted because this game is unbearable.
Look at that, he changed his clothes.
Now it looks like a flasher.
So, Tio, what's the story?
This is the last game officially that Shita Nojiri worked on. For those who don't know, he was an assistant director on Police Notes and helped on most of the Metal Gear games, especially the spin-off like Ghost Babel and the Acid Duology.
Oh.
This was the first game, this was the first and only game he actually worked on properly. And he actually has an interesting premise. It's similar to Highlander. You control a guy that cannot be killed at all. Like, even in-game, there's a gameplay and story integration. You cannot properly be killed, you know. And this guy is a guy that survived from the medieval ages to modern day, so we see what he's doing in the modern day. So, how did they fuck it up? The game is extremely tedious because, yes, you cannot die, but the enemies dismembered you, and you take a sweet ass time combining again into a entire person. Or so. Worst of all, you have, you're basically escorting most of the time someone, and those are not invulnerable.
I recommend you quit that funny story.
The story itself is fine. A guy seeking revenge, a guy that's immortal but nowadays doesn't give a shit anymore because of his condition, fighting demons Devil May Cry style, and there are shenanigans of body horror as a result of that. So there is clear passion and a good idea, also a shot, behind this game. It's just that it's unbearable. If I manage to actually get through it, I promise I'll record it eventually, but I can't make full-time promises.
So in case, was it the story or the gameplay that drove you up the wall?
Gameplay. Because the story, like I mentioned, it's perfectly serviceable for me. Keep in mind, I'm mostly tolerant, even towards some of the more mediocre, crappy stories. This Glee wants to be a Devil May Cry, Konami's Devil May Cry with a spin to it. And it's actually also looks a bit nice. We can't see properly because of the quality of the conference we're seeing, but the actual game does look nice, and it was actually done by Rebellion. I don't know which specific, division of Rebellion, but Rebellion Studios.
That said, again, I'm noticing a pattern here. Another game that's sort of a career killer.
If you want an opinion that's, that's outside from me, the game received mixed reviews on both platforms, PSP and Xbox 360. Yes, this thing didn't have even a PC port, so hopefully for a remaster, I don't know.
I've not really heard
this is shit on Ojiri, by the way.
But
this guy actually knows what it's talking about because, for example, Metal Gear Ghost Fable is a good alternate, game towards the main game's canon. So this guy clearly had some passion behind it.
I'm going to show you what's in my trench coat.
Haha.
Our hero gets dismembered.
This is more suspicious than the T-shirt under the blazer.
Yeah.
And
hey Tommy, are you okay? What's wrong with you?
No, what the hell?
What are you doing? It's
okay, I will admit, of all the skits before for this conference, this is actually my favorite and the one that feels more genuine.
It's more creative.
Yeah.
Wow, how
and it doesn't overstay its welcome.
And that one got a genuine laugh out of the audience.
Please keep this secret, even if you have any friend working for
It's kind of a shame knowing that this will go on to be a game that drives you crazy, Tio.
Yeah, got my head back in place.
Tommy, it is incorrect.
Oh, sorry. So
okay,
if you guys have any interest,
that was
not just that, Jova, so I forgot to mention, you know what's the best twist about it, at least from my perspective? The protagonist is actually voiced by David Lodge. For once, we have David Lodge actually voicing a protagonist and not being the narrator of a minor supporting lore. He's actually in the spotlight, and it's this game of all things.
Dang.
Thank you.
Again, though, from what you told me, this game kind of killed that dev's career, so...
That's the thing, he hasn't done... It's stated here that he hasn't done anything since. I have no idea if it's still at Konami or he went somewhere else.
Huh.
Oh, now he's representing again Metal Gear Rising. Well,
oh,
Solid
fine.
Rising.
Well, okay, so we found...
There you go, Theo. We're right at the best game of the conference.
Yeah, but it's the exact same trailer we saw, technically speaking, at the Microsoft conference.
Well, actually, no. If I remember correctly, the one in this conference is different. Let me... Or is it? Let me
Looks
see.
the same
so far. It's the same unless it's extended.
Oh, never mind. I think it is. Okay.
Wow, that's also what they meant back at the Microsoft conference. Ubisoft also has a tendency of doing this.
Well, still.
Maybe there'll be extra footage at the end?
I think we're gonna explain on stage a bit more what the gameplay mechanic they wanted to implement.
Yeah. This is Konami's conference, so...
Yeah, that's also another thing in hindsight, the fact that Konami now has something so beautiful like the Fox engine and is sitting on it.
Using it for pachinko games.
It's a lever.
And Pez.
Are they using it for
that
PES?
is nice, Bleeps.
Well, there's your FIFA guy anyway, so what do you care about?
Not just that, Bleeps. It's kind of like saying the Frostbite engine being used for FIFA. It's nice, but it wasn't even its intended use. It's not using it 100% of its potential.
So, yeah, that was the same trailer that we saw from Microsoft E3.
Yeah, the cutting thing and everything.
So, the best thing showed, and it's literally the same thing we could have gotten from a much better E3. And mind you, that better E3 spent the majority of its time trying to sell to us the connectable things. Cut what you will.
Yeah, watermelon. Yummy. There's always time for watermelon.
Yay! What will you
The
cut?
blades in your hands.
All the
it's all
watermelons.
in your hands.
You can, sure, you can actually stop and cut any footage you watch.
Except, there is one thing, however, that you cannot cut. A cat. Not even kidding. At the beginning of the second, the first official level after the prologue, where is like you can find a cat on the beach where Raiden lands, and you cannot cut it. The cat ninja dodges everything.
As someone might have saw,
Oh, so you
Kojima has
tried to
passed me
cut the
torch
cat.
for this project.
Well, everyone tried to, right? Why wouldn't you?
I mean...
Well, sure, the game did say cut at will.
Yeah, I don't have to.
Also, Raiden is killing people left and right. What's a cat war?
Well, clearly the cat is
Did you like the trailer?
too quick for everyone anyway, so...
Thank you. So this conference was 2 years after MGS4. That was when they first showed Cyborg Raiden.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually before Platinum Games took over because
In the trailer,
the,
you saw the
developers
concept word
weren't being able to properly achieve the hack and slash gameplay that Kojima planned for this. Kojima decided to get Platinum Games to help out, basically.
トレーラーの中では、ライデンが内臓のよう
I
な
noticed Platinum Games.
So you saw in the trailer that
well, at least this guy bothered to get a fucking translator with him.
from the
Hello and welcome to Learn Japanese with Konami.
バッテリーと、制作では仮に呼んでいます。
We call it in our
I
development.
mean, it's not a language I'm
the
interested in
battery
learning, but I guess it could be
rolled out.
to somebody.
エネルギー、電気、エネルギーを、吸収している、吸収していました。
I'm more into
And he actually absorbed the energy from that.
残奪、奪えるもの、具体的には
So, yeah, so basically, if I recall correctly, Metal Gear Rising takes place somewhat before Metal Gear Solid 4, but ends after.
Let me explain.
Like 4 years after
The final product. However, this was still the early concept, which instead would appear in Raiden, you know, in between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4, showcasing why did he became a cyborg, you know, and the fact that he rescued Olga's child, Sunny, which shows up in MGS4. It was basically Kojima bridging the gap on this particular plot point that was never explained properly.
However, when Platinum took over the project, they decided to change the story.
And I think it's for the better. Part of me still wants to know what officially happened, you know, in between 2 and 4 to Raiden. But considering the game when it came out already became divisive, because I remember hearing a lot of Metal Gear Solid fans crying out, saying, "Oh, this was too different. They were casualizing it." Blah blah blah. Never mind the fact that this game is anything but casual friendly. Just saying.
It's just dumb.
So
it's just dumb because it's different.
Not
to mention, I would like to say to those people, you can cut watermelons, therefore your arguments are invalid.
You cannot cut a cat, so your argument is invalid. But changing the story towards a proper sequel that doesn't really impact the previous story. There is one mention to the Patriots, and it's more of a joke than anything at near the end with the final boss. But that's it. This is its own story. after that, there's no Solid Snake, no Menace from the Patriots. It's Raiden versus a bunch of crazy people with shitty ingredients.
Well, it's a Platinum game story, basically. That's what it boils down to.
でも、自由な角度で、切る、狙って切るということが可能になります。
So as you saw in the trailer, you could actually cut wherever you want, and also.
I'm actually surprised Konami haven't gotten desperate enough to make a Metal Gear Solid 6 yet.
Well, no one would buy it.
That's a faint job. That was supposed to be Metal Gear Survive.
That was supposed to be their actual ploy to Metal Gear Solid 6.
We thankfully didn't call it Metal Gear Solid 6.
Well, that's a faint job. Well, Jova, you'd think so, right? Like, you'd think they would go the Assassin's Creed route where they just slap extra maps using the original engine of 5 and just call it Metal Gear 6, and there you go, there's your Metal Gear 6. But no, they couldn't even do that. Instead, here, hit zombies with a stick, you fucker. Like,
also, pay us for save slots. Oh, and by the way, make sure to maintain your oxygen.
The water, stay hydrated.
You know, Tara, that's exactly what we should have had. We should have had Mayone teach the developers of that game how zombies are supposed to work.
I'm guessing it's different from actual MMOs where you do your subscription stuff that pays for your pigs as opposed to.
Metal Gear Survive was supposed to be an actual console game, not an MMO. And you have to pay for your slave slots.
Much because MMOs now are being released on consoles.
Is one of the most stupid things I've ever heard in my life.
Okay. Here, let me put it this way, guys. You know how in Pokemon, whenever one of your Pokemons is poisoned and you walk around the field, there's that little thing where that warns you that your Pokemon are losing health because of the poison? Yeah. Okay, imagine if Nintendo made a Pokemon game and that was constantly happening every time you're playing, and you have to pay a little microtransaction with real money to stop that from happening. That's basically what Metal Gear Survive entails.
Yeah.
The game will annoy you to death unless you pay up more dough.
And I want to implement kind of a if that applied into the actual universe of Pokemon sensors would be awash with tests.
You have no idea.
How about this, Joe? Think of it like this. You can only have one Master Ball per save file. However, if you cough up some real-life money, you can get more Master Balls.
I really have to wonder, what were Konami... Did Konami really think they were going to get away and somehow profit with Metal Gear Survive the way that game was?
Implying that anybody at Konami knows what the fuck they're doing.
Well, Kojima did before they fired him.
Well, whoever was responsible for doing those
I think the best person to pick out is Shinji Urano, because Shinji Urano, at the very least, was at the very... Yeah, don't get me wrong, as we saw from this conference, obviously Shinji Urano wasn't exactly flawless or anything like that.
Like, someone had to, when it came to, packaging and, what's the name, suggesting for those collections they released in the previous months about Castlevania, Gradius, and Contra.
Okay, to be fair to you, like, repackaging recollections, that's kind of like one of the easiest things to do in the industry.
Considering the status of Konami, I'm considering this a standard because, they could have easily just done, like, repackaging each single game and make you pay $20 for each.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess there was...
Just be glad it's not like that.
I guess there was also Super Bomberman R, though part of me wonders if maybe that was just Nintendo really asking extremely
No, because it was only a temporary exclusive. It later became available for other platforms, and it gained, exclusive characters for each version. Master Chief for the Xbox One version, and Ratchet and Clank for the PS4 version.
So, I guess whoever came up with Super Bomberman R did a good... Don't get me wrong, the game wasn't the best thing ever, but it was a nice...
It was the thing that the franchise was needing at the time.
Anyway, for as much as I am interested for Metal Gear Rising, was there really this much to talk about the game for?
Not really.
Again, it would be a lot better if they actually showed gameplay footage while they're explaining
I guess you could say they technically did show it, but it's the same trailer shown in Microsoft.
Well, no. What I mean is that show actual live gameplay footage.
While they're talking.
Exactly.
Well,
Like
I won't
show
talk
the
anymore
first
about the
level.
story because I'm not allowed
First level's
at this
awesome.
moment today.
And it's a great first impression.
I think at this point it was only the proof of concept.
Whatever, just show something.
It's sad that even with what is probably the best game shown here, I still have issues with the presentation.
Something different, totally new experience that you'll have with the sword.
I mean, okay, props to them telling us about this game, because I'll admit, if I were watching this live, this is probably the game I would want to know the most about, so kudos to that. But if I'd seen the Microsoft one before this, I'd have been kind of disappointed if this is all we got to see, because it's literally the Microsoft trailer. And hell, I'm gonna say this, I think the Microsoft presentation of it was better paced.
With this blade in this game.
あと、やっぱり主人公のライデンの魅力をさらなる向上を、実現する、作品にしていきます。
And what I want to do is raise the popularity of Raiden even more in this next game.
So, does anyone have anything to say on the matter, or
not really? Nothing's really happening.
About Rising.
It's okay. How about this? Oh, never mind. They're done.
Oh, no footage.
So I think it's time instead to talk about the last thing that we haven't talked about yet, Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and I know that a lot of people don't like this reboot series. But
I kind of liked it.
Let me call it a guilty pleasure if I had to, but they actually did. Oh no, first there's Harmony of Despair. This was basically a digital title release, but it's basically a sort of an arcade experience that lets you into this sort of labyrinth level, and you work online with your friends, defeating the demons and everything. It's kind of like the skyscraper in Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, part of the selling points was that you could play as all these characters from across the franchise.
It's actually a nice game, though it was basically the last of a mainline title. It doesn't have a story to speak of, and that's it.
Which was really a shame, though, because you'd think that they would include a story mode for a game like this.
Don't worry, Jova, we're having one for the Gacha mobile game that is upcoming. Not even kidding.
So they can make a story mode for a gacha game, but not a story mode for, this game. This actual mainline game where protagonists from across time are doing it. Hell, I mean, the flipping fighting game had a story mode. Multiple
I think
ones.
Iga also shows up on stage later on. Oh, there he is. With his cowboy hat. There you go.
Ah, Iga. He's a real Chad in the gaming dev team.
Didn't he quit Konami after this?
Yep, and he made Bloodstained.
Oh, that game that the only thing I know about that game is that there were quite a few games which is on PS4.
Of all the information that you could get on Bloodstained, it really was just those.
Really, Dwibs?
Summer of arcade titles from Microsoft.
That's all I remember, really. I mean, I'm not really... I can't say too much. I'm not necessarily a Metro.
Well, okay, I don't know if those got patched, but from what I understand, Bloodstained is well regarded here. Basically, Bloodstained was, well, it actually managed to be the throwback game that people kickstarting it wanted it to be. Unlike a certain other Kickstarter that kind of, ironically, kind of inspired Bloodstained to be a thing.
About making a potato salad.
No, but it does start with an M.
With beautiful Castlevania daughter. That's how I came up with the concept.
Now, there's no way you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to think of something.
Also, poor Iga could not still develop the game that he always wanted, the Battle of 1999.
HD screen.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it's actually a crucial point in the history in the chronology of the Castlevania mainline timeline, because it signifies the definitive death of Dracula as we knew it.
簡単に言うと、こう部屋を無視してこう襲ってくる敵だったりとか、部屋を無視してこの追っかけてくる敵だったり
And A.K.A. even modeled the Belmont of the Battle 1999, Julius Belmont, after himself. Yes, it's a bit of an ego, but, you know, bear with it. So it actually, the way this level is described, it actually makes you wonder how it's going, yeah, because it's like apocalyptic, shit are exploding left and right. Julius had to face demon literally in the streets, not just anymore just in Dracula's castle and all, and he has to desperately fight with his comrades to reach, you know, the teacher of Castlevania and defeat the Lord of Darkness for good. But no, we're probably never gonna see this kind of thing.
I don't get, you know, I know it's Konami, but it still baffles me how many times they throw out such interesting and good ideas.
Well, keep in mind, John, that this is the same company that also, give me a second to give you an image, but it was a good idea to release one of the most horrible Nintendo DS covers for video game.
More stages, but again, that all depends on you guys. So please help promote this game.
But yeah, it's funny you mentioned Mortal Shadows.
Konami, that's your job.
Wait. They're asking the audience to help promote this game.
Dwebs, would you Dwebs, come on, Dwebs, be nice and help the developers promote their game. Would that kill you?
Do it your bloody selves. You've got.
So, okay, so basically what they're asking to do, and mind you, the internet wasn't as big as it is now back in 2010. It was on the rise, but it wasn't, you know, to the giant it is. So basically what they were asking for people here was to basically go out and spread the word. Even though you may not have the footage immediately on you, go out and spread the word somehow.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now pass it over
that
to
would have
Mr.
worked
David
fine
Cox,
if Twitter was a thing back then, but
Shadow.
unfortunately it wasn't. So
it was. It's just
not nearly much.
It is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Yuga-san. Good afternoon. My name is Dave Cox, and I'm the producer of Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I'm really pleased and excited to be
Okay.
part of this year's E3 show.
Okay, Lord of Shadows. I honestly really do like the idea of Lord of Shadows.
And favourite tales to those eagerly assembled, and each storyteller would give their own unique spin on the tried and trusted crowd pleasers. This is kind of what we're doing. We're showing a different interpretation of the story and the world, and giving it our own unique spin. Enric Alvarez and his team at Mercury Steam have been creating something worthy of the Castlevania heritage over there in Madrid, in Spain.
But yeah, I like the idea that, you know, they wanted to do a reboot so they could have more creative freedom. And I mentioned this a couple of times in the past. This, I argue, is one of the reboots that treats better the source material, you know, instead of blatantly insulting it. Mind you, it's another thing that it respects it completely because it takes a lot of liberties from the classic series. But I still believe it's one of the better examples out there.
You know,
And the gameplay is actually really fun. It's a God of War clone and it works for the better.
I'm curious here, were you like me in thinking at first, oh, this could maybe fit into the main timeline before, you know, they got to...
No, I knew this was a reboot, and in fact, that's actually what shocked me, kind of. The fact that Mercury Steam blatantly mentioned that Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 was going to be the definitive conclusion, but the ending of it's just a bit open.
And then
it's not really definitive.
And then it turned out that we got more games of that timeline, albeit I don't know if
Only
they were...
one, and it was a midquel for the Nintendo 3DS, which was what caught Nintendo's attention and asked Mercury Steam to develop the Metroid 2 remake.
I'll admit, the Lord of Shadows timeline is, again, it's one with a lot of interesting ideas on the spins on the franchise.
There's also a lot of great casting, you know, like Patrick Stewart and Robert Carlyle in the main roles. Also,
Imagine that set the development budget back a bit.
The music is actually really good too. Let me check who probably the composer is. Mercury Steam is a Spanish studio, and
Oscar Araujo.
Oscar Araujo, or I guess it's actually pronounced. But yeah,
Araujo too.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, this guy actually knows how to compose. I actually, if you're not even interested in the game, I still suggest you to actually check on the soundtrack because it's pretty great.
Basically, the overall plot of Lord of Shadows is that there's these 3 dark factions that you, as a knight sent in by the Holy Order, must go deal with. One is of the werewolves, another is of the vampires,
and then the undead, the leeches.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mercury Steam. I'm guessing Mercury Steam is the most famous video game coming from Spain.
I guess. Keep in mind that this first title also had work from Kojima Production, and it kind of shows it even as kind of like a twist near the end, Kojima style. I don't remember if it uses the Fox engine. I think it does.
I don't think it does too.
Okay then.
I mean, technically, like, here's the thing too. Technically, the Fox engine's only major first game outside of the PES stuff was Metal Gear Solid 5, really, because that's what the engine was made specifically for that game. Because Rising ended up using the Platinum engine. So, and this game came out way before the Fox engine was being developed still at this point in time.
Regardless, these games actually look very gorgeous. I'm surprised that they managed to pull off this kind of quality and color palette for the PS3 and Xbox 360.
See.
But again, you will be able to see more for yourself when I actually record the games.
See, now this presentation is one that's good. They have a bit of an intro, but for the most part, they let the game do the talking.
Yes.
Robert Carlyle, of course.
Patrick Stewart as Sobek.
Not gonna lie, that was pretty awesome casting. Natasha.
You brought up a good point, Jova. Maybe we should start having Jim Ryan
and Jason Isaac.
Maybe we should start having Jim Ryan manage all E3 conferences from this point on.
Okay, this I can actually spoil because I kept mentioning in the past whenever Dweebs brought up Jason Isaac. Jason Isaac in Lords of Shadow voices the character of Satan. Not even kidding. Like now, what's his role in all of this? You will see.
To be Satan.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Rude.
Yeah, and all of this, you had to actually. There you go. You actually had to recover pieces of a mask.
A story involving vampires and a mask.
Oh yeah, by the way, Pedro, the game also rips off Shadow of the Colossus 3 times. Even though it's a bit more scripted, you don't really have that much free climbing, you have to use spots. It's still nice. Shadow of the Colossus is one of those games that I say, if you have to rip it off, go ahead, because it has such a nice concept that it's not that much used, so why not? One thing that they didn't show for this cutscene instead was the way they use QTEs, but that's a story for the main game.
Leaving that out, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Lord of Shadows had possibly the best presentation of any of the games shown here. Oh, it was in association with Kojima Productions.
Yeah, that's what they mentioned. Kojima actually was a producer for this one.
Alright, and that was the Konami E3.
Is it over? Can we go now? Can we go home now?
What did that amount to you?
Sorry?
What did Kojima's involvement amount to in the end?
I do believe there is a bit of a print from his usual storytelling, but not much. He didn't immerse himself too much. There's also a cute Easter egg from MGS4, like you can unlock the solid eye if you finish the game, when you beat the game. As a costume alternative.
Alright, so yeah.
What the hell did I just watch?
That was a conference.
What the hell did I just watch?
The most entertaining conference of the bunch so far.
I guess, but at what cost? At what cost?
But at the same time, it's also the most taxing.
It is
for me. First of all, it is a shame that YouTube seems to be only having this version of a full conference, which is in 360p, But alas, it was another time. Actually, it was not developed yet for YouTube.
This was back in 2010 too, so HD was not the standard yet, quite yet.
But final thoughts, Dweebs.
I mean, this is definitely one of the most weird conferences out of the bunch. All the technical troubles, all the weird ways they try to sell the games more by having the wrestlers shove each other about, all that bizarre performance from Glee. And half the games just being typical throwaway stuff that people would probably buy but forget about in a few months. I mean, the Castlevania stuff is fine, but then again, I'm not a huge Castlevania fan, so there's not really much I can say there. And really, the highlight of this was it has gameplay in it. That's I mean, that it's like I said, it's like that botched trailer for Bebe's Kids.
It's animation.
I mean, what's next? What's next? A bloody Sega gonna Sega gonna demonstrate the next Sonic game by saying it's fast. Yeah, that's it. Please pay money for it. Or hell, what if like a FIFA game came out and they say you play football? You play football. Wow, why don't we advertise our commentary group that way? Welcome to Squared Comms.
We speak.
We commentate. Yeah, we speak.
Also, please help us market our games.
Yeah,
please. Hey, at least we show gameplay footage.
Please help. We only have enough money to print the discs and send them out and do the marketing. We can't.
There might not be anything on the discs, but they're there. There's discs in there.
We can't advertise the game by ourselves. So please help us. We're really poor. I don't even.
Oh wow. Well, okay, Shiroi.
Yeah, I got Shiroi.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. I mean, it's the most entertaining of the bunch. It is frustrating. It's full of technical issues, but honestly, this is the most, well, not the most tolerable, but one of the most tolerable. Had some pretty fun hosts, even if they were a bit out of it, is the way I can describe it.
Sorry,
not sure what the...
You be sucked.
I'm going to ignore the whole Glee aspect. That was unnecessary. Just a trailer for the music game would have been nice. And that's it. This was one of the more fun times for this week. So.
I think Tio mentions it well, though. At what cost, though? It is definitely one of the more entertaining ones, but it also feels like one of the most draining ones in a sense, too. Like, holy cow.
But, yeah, who's next?
I guess I'll go next, then. Yeah, I'll pretty much wrap up my thoughts pretty quickly. What did I watch? What did I watch? Again, like I said, the last thing I expected was having to explain to you guys what the show of Glee was. But here we are. We saw Glee do one of their god-awful retractions of a beloved song. That is like possibly the thing most on my mind here, the fact that I saw an entire song's worth of time taken up by Glee. What the fudge? That's it though, like I said, the best game presentation was Lord of Shadows. They had a well-concise enough intro, and then let a lot of the footage do all the speaking. Sort of like what Nintendo do, or what Sony have recently taken up the practice of doing a lot more these days. And, okay, like I said, just about every other presentation has something baffling or wrong going with it. Like, with the first bit, there was that whole technological malfunction, so the guy has to drag out his speech here and there. Then there was the whole guy who seemed enthusiastic, but we couldn't really understand him. And then there was a guy who was presenting a game that looked like it could have been interesting, but the guy himself didn't seem to care a look about it. And then there was the guy who was enthusiastic with the Lucha Libre thing, but, well, we all saw what became of him, taken off stage. Like, okay, it's weird, but it felt like a sense where the background was more loud than the actual speaker here with those wrestlers. And from what I've heard, it sounds like the promotion didn't work out well, given how the game kind of failed. And, you know, that's just the thing. I've noticed a running theme. A lot of the games here were either terrible, killed a company, killed a franchise, or killed a career. Like,
or combination of a bunch.
Like, you gotta wonder, was this conference just cursed and almost every game was one that would spell doom in some way, business-wise? Because that's what it feels like.
I can tell you that back in 2010, this conference was reviled by pretty much everybody, was regarded by pretty much everybody as the worst conference of that year's E3. Because everybody hated it because it was so cringy and all that shit. It made no sense. Technical issues. So yeah, this conference was quite hated back in 2010.
And I can see why. Again, it is such a roller coaster of stuff. It's not the worst E3 ever because it does have some high points here, and it is generally entertaining. And trust me, there is a worse E3 out there. I think, okay, whereas with Activision, that had a consistently bad host, which was terrible throughout here. Here, they have various different hosts. Some are terrible, some are genuinely trying, some are good. It's like I said, this is an outright rollercoaster of quality. Now, granted, for the most part, the thing is terrible, but there are glimmers of hope here and there. And again, that's not counting the fact that most of the games turned out to be failures in their rights here and there, so with hindsight, you could say the E3 is even worse in some regards here and there. Granted, who knows, maybe part of the reason a lot of these games didn't do well was because this presentation was god-awful. Alright, next.
I'll go next, just to be quick. This should have been trimmed by at least the half of its length, because it's so taxing. Yes, there are actual games at some point, but so much could have been cut away. And most of the stuff I said in the commentary, I had no idea what Glee was, aside from some faint memory of the name, and I'm not impressed at all. The Automedius excellent game, sure. Waifus, I mean, I saw Kantai Collection, can't be worse than that. But and everything else was, like Jova said, a curse. Like it either killed the franchise or killed the developer, or a combination of the two. You know, what a shame. Keep in mind that at least the Castlevania Lords of Shadow was something that I enjoyed a little bit. Not so much Never Dead, but at least it showed up here, unlike Doctor Trek. But yeah, definitely one of the worst E3s. Even the wrestling bit, the luchadores slapping each other like idiots. Even with my limited knowledge of wrestling, I know that's not what happens to make it entertaining. Anyway, next, Pedro.
Yeah, you have to understand, everybody, that E3 2010 was quite the interesting conference because so Sony, I don't even remember how Sony's E3 in this year was, to be honest. It's been a long time. I'll have to go back and look. But I can tell you that it was quite the interesting, bizarro type of E3 because Microsoft, which was usually conferences, give us that Kinect shit show. Konami showed up and did their one and only conference. Gee, I wonder why.
So just like Activision, it was their only one.
And I can definitely see why. Yeah, and there was also the problem, and there was also, of course, and combined with that, whereas Nintendo finally made an entire E3 conference entirely focused on games based on their actual franchises that people actually give a crap about, instead of shoving more Wii crap in our throats.
So Nintendo essentially won E3 of 2010 by a large margin, it seems.
because literally everybody else dropped the ball. Except I don't remember how Sony's E3 was.
From what I've seen, Sony's.
I remember them showing the PlayStation Move in that little Harry Potter book type thing. That
Oh, so I guess I'm gonna say lackluster from what I can recall.
It's been a long time though, so I cannot speak for it. I'd have to watch it again. The basic point is, yeah, this conference is the pinnacle of bizarre. Like, I have no idea who the hell thought this was a good idea. Okay, here's what we're gonna do this conference. First, we're gonna, first there's technical issues right from the bat, and because great, one of the developers has to come from the rest of the audience to go on stage for reasons that I have yet to understand. Because literally everybody else comes from backstage. It's only that one guy with the shiny shirt, like Shiro says. What happened? Was his shiny shirt blinding the other people backstage, so he had to wait there with the audience?
Probably.
I wonder.
There's, of course, the fact that the Lucha Libre, of course, is the big highlight, where suddenly you're now thinking, what the hell am I even watching right now? It's just like, what the fuck, man? And then, of course, suddenly there's Glee, because why not? But I have to say, I love that. I love Naoki Maeda. That guy's English is amazing. Like, seriously, like, we need that guy to become a speaker at some kind of video game company. And while you're at it, bring that Charlie Brown guy with him, because they
work so well together. It's great.
He's a great straight man to Naoki's funny man.
Yeah.
So yeah, aside from that, the games themselves are mostly terrible, but they did show some good ones like Castlevania and Rising. But even the presentation of Rising was way too drawn out and then properly. I'm okay with the developer explaining the game, but show us gameplay of the game while you're explaining it, so we can actually look at something. But no, we just have to listen to him talk. They at the very least they ended on a nine note with Castlevania: Lords of Shadow, so that's nice. But yeah, this conference is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen, and I have no idea who the fuck thought this was a good idea, really. So yeah, that was Konami's E3 2010 conference. So, what else?
There's a minor stop that we have to get before going through the
big surprise.
Yeah, but for now, under Dweeb's request, next time we'll be taking a look at the EA 2014 conference, so technically the more recent.
Oh, did you say 2014? That is a year that has quite a bit of special history with this channel here, for both E3 and the channel itself here.
But see you for that.
See you then.
Yeah.
See ya.